This is my program submission for the Silicon Valley Hackathon. This is the main menu, which is the first thing I created, and all of these imports are the other files that are in this hackathon, and the last import is the library that I use for making all of the GUIs and just what the user sees. And so this main menu is a class where it opens a window, it makes the backgrounds a nice color, and there's frames in it. And each frame is just a section of the main window, and there's space in between all of the frames, and everything in each frame is arranged so that it looks nicer and it's more user-friendly. And there's a lot of buttons on this main window because there's a button for every age group. And here's the functions that the buttons lead to. The main function is they just destroy and they close the main window for the age group selection, and they open the window for that specific age group. So it's like toddler, and if you run it, and this is what the main menu looks like. So you can see how every group is a different color button so that it looks nice and it looks exciting. The brighter colors are better for cheering people up, which is what we need right now. So every group has a different color, and it's organized in rainbow order so that it's easier to look around. Here is the toddler program. It just has another main window in it. This window also has some frames. It doesn't have as many frames. It's not as complicated as some of the other windows, like the young adult one, because it doesn't have as many buttons. Toddler, I have some educational stuff in there and some ideas for entertainment. But each one of those buttons does still link to another function in this, where it creates some information up at the top, and then it gives some more information for how to copy and paste, or just a general what these links lead to, and the links are all information relating to what that button is. And if I run just the toddler program, you can see that this is the window that pops up, and it's a nice, more pastel window because toddlers are smaller and they're generally associated with more pastel colors, and so I did that. The kids window has all of the same stuff as the toddler window, except it's just a lot more of it. This one has a line in between all of the information so that it's easier for kids to use. And so it has, as you can see, just many more buttons and more frames, a lot more stuff in it. Okay, and here is my kids window, because the kids window, it has a nice line in the middle of it so that it's easier to separate the two parts. And here's where it gets really fun, where you can see how this is, in the kids window, I've made the background a slightly different color so that I can use all white text, and it looks very nice and it's easy to read all the way through. But in each of these, you can tell that the windows are a similar color to the buttons. And also, the reason it's not the exact same color is because each button itself is a very bright and very different color. So that even if the colors are a little bit off, you can tell basically which window is which. Once we get into the preteen or middle school category, it's much the same. The big thing with a lot of frames, and then a lot of buttons in each of the frames that are nicely organized so that it's easier for the user to understand. Okay, and here is my preteen window. You can tell how the general color scheme is a little bit darker, just because it's nicer to look at than the bright colors of the kids, so that you know, as you're getting older, it's nicer to look at and you can see things. And in this window, you can tell how it's not the exact same color as the button, because the buttons are all still different enough colors that you can tell them apart easily enough, even without the backgrounds of the window being the exact same color as the button. And you can see how you can just click on a link. You don't have to highlight it, but you can just click it, and then later you can copy and paste it. There's instructions for copying and pasting. And a lot of the frames, especially this one, have a lot of information in the frame itself, even without having to go to any of the links. So it's really nice that you can just have a lot of information in the frame itself, so you don't have to click on a link or just copy and paste it. You can see it all right here. To keep this video short, I'm going to skip right into the young adults, because this one is a lot more complicated. There are 4 main frames with buttons, and there's a lot of buttons in each frame. So there's a lot of information in the young adults group. So you can, once I run it, you can really tell that there's a lot going into this one specifically. The others are getting more complicated the older the age groups get, but this one I think is the most complicated, and there's a lot in each one. So, and here is my young adult window. You can tell this one has a whole lot of buttons. It looks really nice. All of the buttons, and this one I've kind of switched it between high school and college, or college and this one, so that the buttons are organized based on the color. So every button in a certain group is the same color, so that you can easily tell the groups apart. Even though there are spaces separating them all, you can still tell them apart more easily. And this is when it gets really nice that the backgrounds are the same color as the buttons, so that you can easily tell each window apart. And I've changed the text color at this point to make it so that it's easier to read instead of just the plain black or white. It looks a lot more interesting and visually appealing, and you can also, once again, with the windows being different colors, you can still easily tell which window is which, even without looking at the information on it.